Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Pact once broken, forged. A pact once broken, forged anew. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. Warlocks and Waffles. A pact once broken, forged anew. Warlocks and Waffles. Forged anew.
Did you want waffles?
Good morning, all you people out there.
Every single one of you, except for you, except for that
What?
guy. You know who I'm. No, there's somebody. They know who I'm pointing at. They know who I'm pointing to. Yeah,
That's
I'm
really
looking
that's
at
really
you.
mean of you to point directly at Rosie.
Mm.
Good morning, Rosie.
For the audio listener, I
Um,
pointed at somebody named Rosie.
Good morning, everybody. Have a fantastic morning.
It sounds like you're at the end.
with
It sounds
us
like you're starting
right
at the end.
now.
It sounds like you're
Currently.
like, "Good morning, have a great day."
Enjoy the rest of your day wherever it is, here or elsewhere. Junie, I would be remiss if I didn't start the episode by saying happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I definitely feel a year older.
Junie has leveled up.
I have done a thing. I think I'm at one of those ages now that because it ends in a number that, like a 5, I can remember it again. Because I realized today, realized yesterday, I stopped counting at 25 because it was easy. So I think just the 5s and 0s are a lot easier.
25 was the last one where I was like certain what age I was and didn't have to think about it.
Right?
Um,
It's unfair because at 28 you start becoming your 30s.
mm.
At
I'm
28,
pretty
you start
sure.
becoming your 30s,
I'm
and
pretty
then
sure that
after
is my birthday this year. I'm pretty sure I turned 28 this year.
Congratulations, you
I
young
think.
young monster.
I'm uncertain. I would have to do math, and that seems like so much work. Welcome to the show. This is Warlocks and Waffles. For all of you who are new to the program, this is a TTRPG morning show. We talk about all sorts of nonsense in the TTRPG community, stuff that we like in our games, stuff that we want to see brought into other games, anything cool that we want to talk about in the general sphere of this conversation is what we talk about on this show. So thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
The past two I feel intros have felt like outros, and I couldn't even articulate why. Is this another sign off? Like I was like, are you just messing with me? Like I feel like you could hit the end button at any point. I was just like, I'm a fool. He was doing it right in front of me the entire time.
So this weekend, remember to
right.
Junie, for anybody who is watching right now, and saw the title of the show, and is like, neither of these guys are Griffon Saddlebag. What's going on?
We shortly are gonna have Griffon on here from the Griffon Saddlebag. They make magic items that are just so dope, not just visually, but very creative, awesome, fantastical items and such.
It's also a
and
pretty book.
yeah, you know, there's physical, tangible things that are like with hit point press. And
Which
there's
I've gone
huge
on the
collection of
record.
things.
I've gone on the record in the past of pretty
You've
much
pulled-
any.
I feel like you
anything-
pulled a book off your shelf. Like,
What?
I feel like you physically were like, "Hey, I got a thing right here."
I did. It's right here.
Yeah.
I held it up. I was saying that I've gone on record in the past and said that pretty much anything Hit Point Press is involved in is gonna be good. Like they don't get involved in stuff that isn't good. They like pretty much everything they put out I have deeply enjoyed. So that is how I first encountered Griffon Saddlebag. And then I have deeply enjoyed it since. I like pretty pictures though.
I first met Griffin at a thing from, I think, Gen Con.
Mhm.
And then again later on during something for the influencer, like the creator summit. And then I was like, I met you. I was a weird guy that you met at this thing one time. And then that was a real bad segue for me to go like, hey, we met at this one thing. Even though that's exactly what like networking is.
Right.
Just like, you know, but it was so crazy. On Monday, we talked about making magic items and going over some stuff, and we had some really, really good ones that I felt like I started to like write out, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be like something. I want to do something with this. And then I just start thinking about people that make magic items, and then I got to Griffin, and then I was like, wait, I mean,
if you're talking about magic items, like
that's what I mean. Like
it
was like
Saddlebag is a no-brainer. Yeah,
it was like it was the natural segue, and I was like, hey, do you think we could I could like just pick your brain about stuff? And then it kind of like it was that naive thing where I was just like, hey, I just want to ask you a question. And then I was like, we also do a TTRPG morning show if you were down. Like it actually started with me just going like, hey, I wanted to pick your brain. And then I was like, wait, would you want to be on our show? So he's gonna be joining us at the halfway mark. And we're gonna be asking him some things. We're gonna try not to do.
We're gonna demand answers.
Demand answers, yes, to burning questions that have nothing to do with profession. No, I know we're gonna try to aim for not the standard like just like what's your process? Like I think
how do you make a magic item? Because when I do it, here's what I do.
At Warlocks and Waffles, we put like I'm trying to think of like a Folgers commercial like for making magic items. But there's I figured since we would have an expert on
yes,
aside from asking like hey their opinion on hey this is what do you think goes into like a good magic item, I think it'd also be a premium opportunity to like run by them some of the things we made and just kind of get like a almost like a quality check type of thing.
Yeah, like what do you think of this?
If you had to put this in a reject pile or you had to put this over here, where would where would you lean it type of thing?
So what I'm hearing is you want to play smash or pass with magic items with Griffon Saddlebag. But here's the thing. It's a magic item, so it is do I want to smash that item because it's bad, or does it get the mark of passing?
Correct, but you have really made like it's so bad that like that the title isn't Warlocks and Waffles Smash or Pass with the Griffon Saddlebag.
It's not too late. I could change it.
I don't. Let's go about that. let's think about that later. we can put the VOD as that. It'll go up in perpetuity as Smash or
Pass with the Griffon Saddlebag.
The thumbnail will be their saddlebag with a question mark like
Yeah, there you go.
And we're on each side, and then people will go, wait, is he judging one of them? So Let's do a quickie recap of some of the things that we went over
Oh
the other day.
no. I
Yeah.
have I will be honest.
Uh-huh. I have notes.
No
I
memory. No
I have
memory of
super
these
duper. I
items.
have super duper notes. The one that I think you were the one that came up with it, and it's super super duper good. The deck of many people, where people kind of put their
No,
hand
that was
on.
yours.
Okay. People put their hand on the deck, and it kind of like imprints on the card, and then they have like a deck of illusion style.
You're talking about the magic items where we were like, look around your desk, choose a random item.
Hell yeah, because that's how inspiration works, son. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This was a perfect. No, these were quality, and now we just
Oh
need to make
no.
sure they're quality. Yeah. Oh, you thought we were going into the bank of crap that we've actually used? No, we don't need to go that far.
I'm
This has
so scared.
documentation.
I'm
Yes,
so
as you should
scared.
be. I realized why you didn't have enough fear in your eyes a moment ago.
Yeah,
So yeah,
because I was like, what magic items did we talk about? Like,
yeah, bro.
I've
we
made a lot of
totally-
magic items. Which ones did?
Yep, specifically
This
the
sucks.
ones we improvised right there. No, these were good. These were good. The notepad, the
These
to-do
are
list.
for anybody who wasn't here on Monday. We talked about magic items, and we essentially just were like, okay, look around your desk, grab a random thing that is sitting on your desk, and be like, okay, I'm turning this into a magic item. There was no prep done. There was no like any sort of
But what if that's the
like
key? What if
notice or
that's the
anything.
magic? What if that's the magic? And it's like that's how inspiration and art works. You have to
That was also a game that you like pitched on the spot without telling me that we were gonna do it. So there was like no prep for these.
and it worked amazingly. Like we have such a good list of things. I what was it? Oh, I don't even have it.
Well, let's run through
Yeah.
the list. Let's see what's here.
The notepad, the to-do list, I thought this was really good. You can write up to 3 tasks you want to do, and you essentially get an inspiration point to put towards those tasks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh, I want to, convince a shopkeeper to give me a discount. And then you'll have like a point of inspiration that can be used very selectively. So it's not
Right.
something where it's just like you're banking them and you're giving yourself luck points. It's like you are like giving yourself a distance guidance that's very like a called shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like doing like a limitation like has to be in the morning or something like that. It's
Right.
not crazy. I have the sovereign clamp where it's like instead of
I do
sovereign
remember the
glue
clamp,
and removable rod, it's like it's a clamp that can only be removed by you, and it's gonna clamp something together. I just wrote business cards, and I don't know if this was a mine or yours. I just wrote business cards.
That was mine. It was a like a small leather case that when you opened it up, you could pull a business card out, and it would have like the information about like your adventuring party on it. That would just magically be created, or you could have it be specifically for you or whatever. But the cool magical part of it was that it was like psychic paper type thing. So it would just show whatever like you needed it to show for that. But on top of that, if you used it to give like a business card or something like that, it would just sort of like sit in the back of the mind of whoever you gave that card to. So they would like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. Like I know who those people are.
That's good. I like that.
I think that was one of the
sitting
first ones, if memory serves.
It might have been. You also, I know this was you, Joy-Cons, like literal ass Joy-Cons, but being attuned by someone, and then you relinquish those controls to someone else, and it's kind of like I described it like almost like what do you call it? The thing that the fighter does, the superiority die control thing, but like just something where it's like somebody else can control you on not your turn type of thing, and it just pushes your body beyond this limit. So you can do your turn like normal, but also somebody else can kind of like pilot you for a moment. Hayward's handy good spoon, a spoon that makes anything taste good, but doesn't neutralize poison. But when you eat stuff with it, it satiates you for a day. Cheat sheet, basically a spell scroll that lets you cast something you shouldn't. but like basically, what spell do you want to cast type of thing. So something that as DMs we do anyway.
Right.
But like turning into a magic item that somebody else can use. I wrote edible scroll, so like a fruit roll up or a fruit
Yes.
by the foot type of situation.
We talked about edible scrolls for a while. if
Yeah,
memory
that's actually the
serves.
last thing I have there. So we must have because they're. Oh wait, no. Why do I write fire shower? I just wrote fire shower at one point.
You
Underwear
talked.
mood ring. What is that one? Oh man, yeah, okay.
So
We were weird at the end.
we went on a
Yeah,
weird
real
tangent.
weird.
The fire shower was you were talking about items that just like things that just look wrong, like things that
Okay,
look
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
they're like incorrect. So like you see somebody who's like standing in a shower and it's just fire. But it was what you described it was like it dries you and like it's
Yeah,
like dry
like
cleaning.
dry cleans. Yeah.
But yeah, that was that one. The underwear mood ring was like a joking one of the first like say the first thing I think of. It was a ring that when you wear it you are aware if anybody near you isn't wearing underwear. That was, and then
There we
you
go.
called it the underwear mood ring.
Yeah, it's like someone's wearing a thong.
I mean, you made it much creepier than it was
I did.
intended to
I
be.
did. Well, anything involving someone's underwear is gonna
I
already
know.
be creepy.
I wouldn't have chose to talk about it in a second session.
So I'm the wrong one here. I'm the one that's wrong.
It's my item. I take full responsibility for that item. In my defense, I was not prepared for that game.
That's fair. That's completely So we're gonna maybe toss some of these out. Toss some of these
Okay.
at we'll do
get
some
the
vetoes.
professional feedback.
But the deck, I think the notepad, the clamp,
I like them.
the business cards, maybe towards this back end, we'll forget about these back end ones. The fire. I just wrote beef jerky. Maybe that meant to be like part of the
we were
edible
talking
stuff.
about it was edible scrolls. We were talking about
Oh, I see what's going on here.
Spell
It
scrolls that like a barbarian would be able to activate.
Yeah, I see what I did. It was like I was making like a bullet point list, and it kept the mood ring and the fire shower as part of edible scrolls. Like it was still under that list of edible scrolls. I was like, what is this? This isn't an edible anything.
Yeah,
edible
no,
underwear.
fire shower definitely goes with edible scrolls for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, there are there's so many things you can eat, including fire showers.
Full blown.
Oh
fire
my
shower.
goodness.
So
Junie, have you had any like new magic items you've given players recently?
I played a game with a group of young people, and I wanted because we had talked about like the like a deck of many things, but a deck of illusion. I was just harping on like using a deck of something in a game, and I have like these deck of many things, deck of many fates cards here, and I never get to use them. But what I did was I took out the ones that were like transport to another place type of thing. Anything that was like an instant right now effect, I left into a big old pile. And I was like, all right, I'll figure this out. And I had their wealthy patron that was having them go on their missions, really crazy. Like, all right, I managed to get this thing. It cost a lot of stuff, and he gave them all like these rings. And it's like, okay, you're gonna find a deck of cards in this place. You're gonna pull with this hand, say the card immediately, and then it's going to disappear. Then the deck of cards is going to go to another room, and you need to go get it. And they had the whole point was like, go to a room, pull a card. There might be a wacky encounter there, but you're going to like pull the cards. And I knew on the back end, he's looking for a certain card, and if they pull the card with this, he is going to get the effects. And
did you what card was he looking for, out of curiosity?
I thought it was because with it's I use I always try to make it like something slightly dumb, like where it's they pulled the Revenant card, and I was like, oh, is he want to resurrect? And I was like, no, it's probably not that. like I had them get a magical diamond one time that was like clearly like some sort of Ifriti fire crystal or something,
Mhm.
and he just used it like a candle warmer, like to like set like put a candle to make it like diffuse the
Yeah.
air.
He's just
So I was like,
dripping oil, like
so I
essential
just
oils onto
I
it.
knew once I found the dumbest one, I knew that
Mhm.
was gonna be it.
Mhm.
But I had developed this magic item essentially that was like a big old mirror, and
Mhm.
as they were calling out the cards, the card would show up for him, and he would get the choice, take it like or have it reflected back. You know what I mean?
Okay. So
And
he's swiping on Tinder on
yes, yes, and I called it like,
on
but I
Deck
called it
Thing
like
cards.
I called it the Joker's Wild Reflector, and it was essentially a
That's cool.
wild card. And I was like, maybe he like used a wish spell or something like that to make this, because you can't really mess with the cards because they're so
Right.
powerful. You can't like mess with them. But
You can't
what if
prevent them from doing whatever they're going to do.
correct?
But
So he
like, so
couldn't like
he's
wish for
just
that card or
influencing
something.
who
Yeah,
is taking it.
correct. And then I was like, if they don't get this, maybe they could come back. And after everything was said and done, some shenanigans happened. They got kicked out, but I was like, he's like, "Oh, maybe another time." And it was like, maybe they'll go back and they'll keep pulling cards. But one kid got like a platoon of 20 people, and he was just like, maybe they'll help you. So he let them get it. One said, someone is resurrected, but they have one personality trait changed. And I gave them like walkie-talkie earrings type of
Mhm.
situation. And they were all like, they heard him go, it's like, huh? Well, okay. Oh, you're here. Oh, you're funnier. Oh, well, oh, this is gonna be interesting. Like, and they were like, what's going on back home? What's happening here?
Uh,
Um, but it was really fun, and there was a natural one rolled in that game where like I think I had like there was like it was like almost Fey realmy, you know what I mean? I
mhm.
told them not let anybody get their names type of situation, and there was like rules broken, and like a natural one resulted in like two people holding hands but almost destroying the universe, like type
Yes.
of thing. It was really really ridiculous. But I love the idea of a Joker's wild mirror where it's
Mhm.
like gives them the freedom to keep pulling, because it's like if people know what the decks do, it's
Sure.
like, oh no, people are scared to pull them, it's game
Mhm.
breaking. But not it, what if you could just keep pulling and keep pulling and keep
Mhm.
pulling, and then it keeps moving, you got to keep finding it type of thing. So I thought that was a
Yeah.
fun thing to do.
I I gave
Mhm.
I gave my players a similar thing with a deck of anything one time, where it was this little like imp creature, who like offered them a pull on the deck of many things for like whatever, I forget what they were trying to do, but he wanted the wish card. He wanted the card that would
Mm.
give wishes, and so he said like, I'll give you that thing that you're looking for, but in exchange you have to pull two cards from this deck. And if you get the card that like grants wishes, I get that.
Mhm.
And they were like, okay, and so they make the little like infernal deal, and they pulled two cards. And the first person who like pulled cards, pulled them, and it went horribly. I think he got the like donjon or whatever, where he like vanishes
Mm.
and is imprisoned somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And so then it became this thing of all the other party members making deals with this dude to be like, okay, I'll pull cards too, but like if I pull it, you get the thing, but like we get what we wanted, and also you release our friend.
Our
And he
buddy.
was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And he like has them do it. And it was just like bad thing after bad thing. And so they're like moving farther and farther through this deck as each party member is like, okay, I'll pull like six cards from the deck, but in exchange we get what we originally wanted. You have to bring the guy back. The other stuff has to happen. Like he went through and did all of these different things. And yeah, it was a lot.
I just wrote
I
something
think
down
in
because
total, I think they ended up pulling like 14 cards from the deck.
oh yeah, I assembled a crazy deck, and I was like, if they get through this, that's a lot of cards that they can pull,
Yeah.
because they're supposed to be less than 30. They're supposed to be less than 20. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like,
There's not a ton of cards
yeah,
in it to begin with. I always end up adding some extra stuff in there.
yeah. I thought about something right now because the way you described this patron person,
Hmm.
I have this very fun tendency that I make a super chill patron,
Hmm.
and they're super relaxed, and it's more of like your deal is like because they get to connect through you, they can go see things they wouldn't normally. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like be super chill and just go and do your thing. It's like, well, what do I get? And it's like you get super cool powers. All right, then what do you get? It's like just you being super chill. So be super chill. And it's just like okay. And it's like it's the you can regard them with suspicion because you're like, what? All right, this can't be. This is too good to be true. But it's like it's always they're just too good to be true, and it's
Hmm.
more of like, yeah, take the stuff. I'm not using it anyway, and they're just hanging out. And I always make like this, like just yeah, what's up, man? How's it going? Just patron a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but I wrote that down for a future episode. Yeah. Uh, I messaged Griffin, and
Okay,
I think
cool.
he'll be joining us soon. But is there anything you feel we need to get out, like wiggle out the sillies before we have a person here and we should not be embarrassing ourselves?
Oh man. Let's see. Not really. I mean, my
You just want to
sillies
bring
are, I wear my sillies on my sleeve. Um, the I will say, just because
writing. I don't know why I want to write that down. It's like silly sleeps. What do these do? I'm like,
they're
write
like
down
they're like silly
more dumb
straws, but they're
magic items.
sleeves. The one thing I do want to just mention, and we could talk about this in a different episode. But the one thing that I do want to mention, because I feel like our viewers will enjoy it. I am running a like mini arc
Mhm.
for some of my players right now, that has taken them into like this hell plane type thing. um but it is a essentially a family reunion. The one of the party members is a tiefling, and she had in her backstory when she wrote it, she wrote that she was from like her dad is a noble. She's from this noble family of tieflings, and then he fell in love with this elven woman, and they didn't approve and stuff. And at the time, I had contacted her, and I was like, "Hey, just so you know, like, here is the political landscape of the land that you're in. Like, a noble family of tieflings might not like fit in. Is there like anything else that would work?" And she was like, "I've written the backstory around that concept, but like, take it and run with it. Whatever you want to do." And so what I decided was, because her whole backstory is about her like running away from that family and like turning her back on it and stuff, and then just sort of
Mhm.
like trying to forget.
Okay.
And so I built a this story around the fact that she's not from a noble family of tieflings. She's from a noble fiendish family. She is from this family of like individuals who are powerful in like the abyss and hell,
Okay.
that sort of thing. And so they sent an invite to this like family reunion that the entire party has gone to in like these fiendish planes. And so I have had a lot of fun creating NPCs that are like horrible, terrifying hell creatures, and
But it's also like
also
Uncle Jeff. It's
yeah,
still like a
yeah.
relative. That's funny.
Like I have a her the character's aunt is is named Kezakil the Baroness. And she is the queen of the succubi. And so she's just like real strong, like fun, judgy aunt energy.
Ooh, fun ant.
But
Okay.
like also is like walking around in like just a bathrobe and like slippers, and like is like effortlessly just sort of
What was
lounging
the first name?
places. Kezakil.
Oh, okay. I
Um
instantly I was like, how can I turn this into a Spanish ant? I don't know why that's my reflex. Cause I'm like, but I was like, Titi Kazi, like I don't know, it's like Kezakil. You said I was just like,
mhm.
it's like in my brain, I was like, that's Titi Kazi, classic Titi Kazi.
But since we're waiting, I have there's a couple NPCs that I've made that I think our viewers will enjoy.
Hmm.
The first one is named Let's see, where did he go in my notes? There he is. His name is Captain Wiffle Bunktree. He is the captain of a ship called the Doomed Adrift, which is a ghost ship that sails on the River Styx. I wrote like one like little backstory line for each person. For him, it is that he killed the ferryman of the River Styx, and now he sails up and down the river, plundering the gold pieces from the eyes of the damned, which I think is just very funny. It also should be noted he's a little. He looks like a little fox man, wearing like a big pirate hat, and he has a musical instrument proficiency in kazoo.
That's good.
I also created an NPC named Imp, which is short for imperfect. And he constantly reminds people that, hi, I'm Imp. I'm a huge disappointment. He was designed as a weapon. He was created to be a perfect warrior, but for some reason, he's really sweet, and all he wants to do is help people.
Intro, can you do that? It's like, hi, I'm Imp. Can you do that again? Because it's almost like you hit like a soundboard, and I was like, that sounds like such a fun,
I said it with that so energy many times last night.
Hi,
I'm Imp. Hi. I'm a huge disappointment.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but he was created as a perfect warrior. He turned out really sweet and helpful, and no one knows why, and thus is a huge disappointment to
failure.
everyone.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Looks like Griffon is joining.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's loading up now. The last one that I just really enjoyed is the family cat, which is just a really hellish like cat creature. But I named him Beelzebuddy.
That was just for you.
It was.
Just for you.
I really enjoy it, but there is a note on him because like all of these NPCs have like a motivation as well. And so his says Beelzebuddy, just the family cat, seeks souls to build an army.
For the scritches.
Oh man,
his motivation is
I was really happy
army
with
for
that
the
one.
Scritches.
Yeah,
it is a good one. It is a good one.
There are so many NPCs that I have set up for this thing. And
if they don't meet them all,
and
remember DMs, if they don't meet all those NPCs, you can always either shoehorn them in or just save them, because if
you have an NPC that you really like, they can introduce themselves to the party. They don't need the party to find them.
Oh God, I've done that where I was just like, man, I want to use this person. I'm not waiting for them.
Right.
I'm not waiting for them to get to this point. I'm going to get them here. So here we go.
Yeah, I do have one NPC in that game that I know for a fact one of my players, like from a past game, will be interested in talking with, and so I did let him know, like, hey, just so you know, you may want to talk to this person at some point.
Very possibly
we have person. Let me frame you up here. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Thanks for agreeing to being here. And on the front end, I spoiler for you. I was like, hey, we were talking about magic items the other day, and there's no way we can think about magic items without going to you mentally.
Sure.
So I was just like, wait, I can message them. Like, I was like, I can actually go like, hey, and then I was like, I have a TTRPG morning show. Would you be willing? Like, because it started with like, I want to talk to you because you're cool. So I was just like, I just want to like talk to you about this because we're making nonsense things, and I wanted your opinion. But to involve Hunter and a bunch of strangers is way better for us. And thank you for agreeing to do this in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I apologize. Are you guys getting any feedback on my microphone at all?
No, you sound fine.
No.
Yeah? Okay, great. Yeah, well, first of all, that's very flattering. Thank you so much. I got into doing what I'm doing for exactly the same way that that kind of came up for you, which is just that I was at the time I was in a very creatively unfulfilling job. And as a person, with like a creative background, both commercial, like professionally, and also even my schooling, it was soul sucking. It was awful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and after doing it for a while, I was my main joy at the time was playing D&D with some of my friends, and I had my DM come over just to hang out one day. And we were watching movies, and we played I think like Dark Souls 3 or something like that for a while. And towards the end of it, I was like, you want to just like make magic items or something? And so and we kind of like what you guys were doing this on Monday. We came up with a few items that I like sketched out, and I like statted out, and like on like a piece of paper, which I still have. I actually want to get it framed. And it sat on my desk like most pieces of paper do for about 6 months. Um, and on like one of these days, I was like feeling just yeah, ugh, just hated my job and everything. And I was like, I saw this piece of paper, and I kind of ran at it. And after I did a couple of them, I put them on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And I also fielded some feedback from another Discord server that I was on at the time. Actually, still am. And it was the feedback that I got from the community, which at the time was exclusively the Unearthed Arcana subreddit. That it really propelled me forward, because it was the same kind of creative back and forth that I really cherished from like school and just being in like a creative field. Um, and it was just a joy. And the trick of all of this is just not stopping.
Consistency,
Yeah.
like keeping it going.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
I love that Dark Souls kind of somehow also played a part into this, because I was like, I see that. I can see Dark Souls somehow transitioning to, you want to make magic items?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was that same kind of like fantasy, sort of like magical thing. And it was it was a magnetic flail, a vest that changed color, and I forget the third thing was. No, yeah, I forgot what it is. But in any case, yeah. So I had three to start with, and after those three, I kept on doing it, and my partner suggested that I just do it as a 365 project, which was laughable, because I had tried to do like Inktober ones before, like 30-day challenges of illustrations, and I never got more than like a week into it. So to commit to doing a 365 was not something that I had a lot of confidence, or like a track record of succeeding at. But but I realized that in this case, unlike the Inktobers or whatever, I was in complete control of
Mm-hmm.
like succeeding or failing, and I get to make what I wanted. And at the end of it all, I could be an author and put it into a book, which was like a bucket list thing, and it didn't really matter, like to me.
Which you can go to the GriffonSaddlebag.com or Hit Point Press and totally boom. He physically got like this isn't the first time we brought you out, and he's like, oh yeah, and he just pulls that crap off a shelf. Like,
I am a sucker for anybody who does a like this is the like fancy version of the book.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an immediate sucker for that. So it helps that this one is useful and super pretty.
Oh, book two literally just like started shipping this week.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. So people are starting to get their deluxe copies of book two.
Yeah, my I went through and was like checking old Kickstarter notifications and stuff last night, and was like, oh, I have like Kickstarter stuff for the next Griffon Saddlebag updates, and so I'm like going through and reading up on all of it last night. It was really cool to check up on.
So yeah, I love the kind of interaction that I get to have with the community. It's it rocks. I wouldn't change it out for anything.
I know the community appreciates you, because one thing that we do like DMs like to not have to think about things.
Yeah.
So whoever can help them with just cool things that they can inject into their games, and they feed off of that energy of when a player looks up at you like, whoa, this is amazing, because they don't know who made it. You know? So it's just like, what, this dope feather blade that lets you either fly, like we I think in our Humblewood game used like your adrenal blades that was recently that you
Oh,
had
yeah.
made. Yeah, I was like, this is dope as hell, because I had a rooster paladin, and I was like, this is it right here. This is awesome.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that with the feather texture on that. Sure. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh God, it was so good. I'm gonna be completely honest with both of you. My ADD is struggling so hard to not talk about Pokemon and the Pikachu's that are right
Oh
there.
yeah,
So
don't worry. Yeah,
we'll jump
that's
on
fine.
a call later at some point, because like I have a Pokemon tattoo. That's another side thing. But in the back of my head, I'm going like, hey, so what's your favorite Pokemon? Like that's just all
I
these
had
questions are
not
also
even
happening.
noticed the Pikachu's until you
Yeah, no,
mentioned it.
hey, it's totally
Unfortunately,
fine.
that was the first thing I noticed. I was just like, oh, Griffon, but those are Pokemon. Those are Pikachu's.
I mean, if I can selfishly plug here, one of
Please
the things,
go. Yes.
one of the things that I'm doing, you know, because you know, I love making magic items, but I'm
Mhm.
also a person that have, you know, that has more interests in their
Mhm.
life.
What?
And I know
More than one?
yeah.
Oh.
And you know, as a child that was born in 90,
Mhm.
you know, I've ridden this kind of Pokemon wave, you know, for the past 32 years, 33. Um, and and so one of the things that I am doing as like a side project is my own like monster catching RPG.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's an isometric strategy. It basically, if you combine like Final Fantasy Tactics and Pokemon like Gen 3, like
You're just talking to me now. You're just talking to me. You're only
it's always very
talking to me at
encouraging
this
when I get
point.
reactions like that. So thank you. But yeah, so you can actually follow that along on Instagram. You can also go to damonsrpg.com. I think that's what. Yeah, cool. Yeah. That'll take you to the Patreon for it. But there is actually I have an Instagram. It's a
That's
small
awesome.
it's a small Patreon right now. But we are working on the demo is so the combat demo is in progress. We're kind of fine tuning like UI stuff, because there's a lot of UI in Pokemon style games.
Oh
There's
yeah.
There's a
So
platypus.
Front sprites and back sprites.
and
It's
also
like,
left and right here. Actually, I can yeah. So I've you know we I am working with several artists and programmers and musicians and doing the whole thing. You know, I want I you know I'm in a position where I can keep on like making things that I'm passionate about and that I care
Mhm.
about. Um, and I'm trying to make the most of it. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I'm excited.
yeah, and well, and the premise for this game in particular kind of plays off of like that like early Pokemon fear of like, oh, you know, you're summoning demons or it's the
Mhm.
occult. You know, part of the Satanic Panic, and so literally in this case, you are summoning demons.
That's so
Um,
funny.
and like Pokemon, which stands for Pocket Monster,
Mhm.
Daemons literally stands for Day Monsters. And I'm kind of like splitting D&D and Pokemon lore
Yeah.
here a bit. So in this case, the Day kind of exists as like a border ethereal Feywild sort of thing that exists on like a separate plane of existence. And as like one of these like occultists or a pact keeper is what it's called. You can see through this veil and bring demons through into the material
Mhm.
through like a temporary connection. So if for example you know you form pacts, so it's like it's consensual, it's you know you're making these promises to each other, and if like one of your daemon like you know faints in battle, they don't like actually faint, they're not actually getting physically hurt, just their connection to the physical realm gets severed and they go back home. So I'm pretty confident.
It
That sounds
sounds
like a
so
lot of fun.
it sounds dope.
yeah it's I you know
There's a little, is
I
there a
think
little bit of a, what does you call it? what is it? Devil Summoner Shin Megami Tensei. Have you ever played that Shin Megami Tensei where it's
I'm
like
familiar with it. I haven't played it though.
it's not exactly like that, but like it's similar. You're forming a contract type of situation. But this is way more adorable, and that tarantula tree that is right
Oh yeah.
on the I have I'm famously I'm not afraid of many bugs except for praying mantises.
Hmm.
And for some reason I gravitate towards bugs a lot, and I'm like, I find them as far as Pokemon are concerned. Oh, they're so adorable, and then in real life, I was like, man, if I had these things, that would be a 2-foot sticky butterfly
Yeah.
with mandibles that's like like wanting to hang out on my shoulder. And I'm like, that tree. I was like, oh, look at that cool nightmare tarantula tree, and I'm like, yo, that'd be a nightmare to see in real life. But
Yeah.
look at that thing; it looks cute. We're definitely gonna be sharing out those links for you
Oh, cool.
because
Thanks.
because that sounds really
Yeah,
dope.
those are incredible.
There is one thing we wanted to do to full blown waste your time because we had you here.
Oh, that's right. You wanted to talk to me about the underwear mood ring.
Oh crap, you were here? No. Shit. He heard us. Yes.
No.
So let's start with the bad first.
Oh dear.
You know, if
Oh,
we were to
Lord.
just get your professional opinion on like if you were just gonna I don't know, do you have like a whiteboard where you're like, no, this sucks, and you're like, these are the ones I'm gonna spend my time and energy, or are you in front of a blank canvas and you go, let's see what I make type of thing? But if underwear mood ring, the word, the phrase, or something popped in your head, would you be like, this is something I should spend my efforts making happen in the world? Hunter is probably furious right now.
So most of the time,
Mhm.
most of the time, I have like a fairly short stockpile of ideas that I have like written out in like a secret text channel, on my Discord server. I just like if I have ideas there or something or reference, I'll like throw it in there, and it's just for me. And if I'm stuck on an idea, I'll scroll through there and I'll see what kind of comes to mind. Other times on a day like today, for instance, where I don't have anything prepared, the thing I'm doing over here we go, is that's actually from yesterday. I didn't finish it, so I'm finishing it this morning, and then I have to do the next one. But so and on a day like today, I think about, okay, what haven't I made in a long time? And then I think, okay, so in this case, I know that I want to make an axe because I haven't done axes in a while.
I like an axe.
So okay, so like what, if I'm wielding an axe, what do I want it to be able to do? And sometimes that leads to either a mechanical thing or a flavor thing, and that can help kind of like further narrow it down in terms of like what sort of archetype of like a character, or like what sort of like background of a character would use this. Like are they a logger, or was this an axe used like for like some sort of ceremony or what have you, or is it like some gigantic mofo axe like for a barbarian?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, and that kind of like helps like further drill down into what it does.
So do you have these whole stories that you make in your brain to make the like to influence how you go about making
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it's more story driven. Other times it's more mechanics driven. Where I say, oh, like this spell is like shamefully underused, or this monster is really cool and underused. Or sometimes, actually, it's speaking, kind of diving back to the Pokemon thing real quick. I was thinking about like the Pokemon move Fell Stinger last night, and I was thinking that how I could easily make that into like a dope dagger that like when you slay something, like the next attack that you make against it before the end of your next turn does an extra 10 damage. Something
Everything
like
is
that.
inspiration. Like it,
Yeah,
like
it really
you
is.
just look at something, it's like, I'm gonna turn that episode of Pokemon into a full D&D session, or I'm gonna turn this into an item, and it's from something else. Yeah.
Junie, I would go out on a limb and say the majority of people probably don't make their magic items by just looking around at trash that's on their desk, and then running with that. And
Except that's what we did on Monday.
I'm aware.
It
I'm
happens
saying,
a lot, honestly. I mean, you're
Haha,
not
Hunter,
too far
in your
off.
face.
You're not too far
I'm
off.
just really trying to distance myself from the underwear mood ring, and I will throw anyone under the bus that I need to do so.
That was Hunter's pride and joy. But on Monday, we looked around, and it was an exercise because I used to do this on TikTok, and it was hastily created magic items, and it was make an item in less than 1 minute, and then kind of like we try to make it work in some way, shape, or form. So we did that, and we're just gonna speedball, throw some things at you, and get your opinion. Because some might work cool, like, oh, this might be some people could use, or it's just like, oh, this is like more of a maybe your campaigning game type situation, but not like mass here. But the first one we got here was the deck of many people, and it's almost like a deck of many things situation. But somebody puts their hand on it, and a card gets imprinted, and it's almost like a deck of illusions where you now have a card of that person. So however many cards you have, that's how many times it can be done. Only one person per card at a time. So it's just like the person can go around to the party. Can everybody put their hands on this real quick? And now you have cards for each party member, or like anybody that you have, like you can just get them to touch it. So that was the first one we
Making
did, where it was
an illusory copy of the person.
yeah, it's just like
And
like Yu-Gi-Oh summon Jeff,
well,
the barbarian.
Yeah. So I guess I have a couple follow-up questions too to
Mhm.
kind of like further drill in on that. Are these single use, like after you draw the thing and like
Very
extend,
good question.
like Yu-Gi-Oh trap card that thing down? Is the illusion like once it's summoned and it's there for like a minute or something, or until you pull the card away and then it's gone, and then it's either like spent, it's just a normal card, or you have to imprint it again on somebody else, or is that person's imprint there forever and you can just summon it, whenever you want to have that Princess Leia projection?
That's a fun take, because the way we had originally started, where it was like it started with our like rules of like what we've learned on what works and usually doesn't work with, because we would improvise weapons or items in our games and go, oh, that bit us in the ass, or like, oh, it's underutilized. And one of the things we had talked about was like taking just an item that exists and modifying it to go like this fits. So it started in my brain with a deck of illusions. So it's like there's a base rules for that. So it's like, okay, there's you need a this type of perception or investigation check to see if it's fake. The card is like burnt up and used after that. Hunter brought up the good point of like once somebody's used been imprinted, they can't have multiple cards. But if there's not another card with their image already in it, you can get like, they already used the Jeff Barbarian card. Now they can use another one, but there being like a finite number of cards, essentially. Like, it's just like, all right, I'm eating through these, but like they're so useful. Because I know I hate it when people get like limited use items or one-off items, and then they hold on to it because they're never going to use it, because they're like, is this the time? Is this the moment I need to use it?
Yeah, that gamer logic is pretty pervasive. Kind of just to counter that, I will go out of my way to make like consumables, just to kind of like just to like encourage DMs to give them out more regularly, because the way that I see it is that if you give out a consumable item and your players use it, that's just, I mean, all that does is signal to the DM that they can have another magic item.
Right? Yeah.
Fun fact on that topic, my wife is playing in one of my D&D campaigns, and she hasn't played for a super long time, but she's like learning the game and stuff, and so she's been like really focusing on like studying and figuring out how to play her character and stuff. She's a huge dork. I love her to death. She after the game on Wednesday, we're like talking through how the session went and stuff like that, and she goes, yeah, I just feel like I like am holding on to things because I feel like I'm gonna need them later, like, and I feel like that makes me a bad player. And I'm like, oh baby, honey, sweetheart, that's a nerd thing. That's a universal like gamer experience. Is but what if I need this later? Like I have to death grip this item to not let go of it. It's been very entertaining watching her like accidentally stumble across like tropes of RPGs and
Yeah.
stuff, just by the nature of them existing.
So I guess in your particular instance with like this like deck of many people, that sounds like it would probably either be it would probably be like on like a per table basis,
Mhm.
where it's like, you know, you swap out the the chart or like the table in the deck of many or in the deck of illusions, and you just swap you
Mhm.
just put in people's names instead.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um,
It'd be fun to give them a deck that also already has like 3 people or something like that.
Yeah.
Like still give them as just like I don't know who this is.
Well, no, well, I was thinking about that same thing too. If you did it that way, if for example, if there's a mysterious person who you are trying to figure out who they are, but the only thing that you have from them is a partially used deck of many people, you would like have to like pull the cards to figure out who this person knows that could like help you kind of figure out like by process of elimination, like connections, you know, like kind of like inverse Kevin Bacon rules, you know, like find out who that person is.
That's good because like that's such a fun, smart way to take it to do that direction. Because I instantly imagine like every party I've ever played with just using it as like smoke screen. Like they're like
Mhm.
being chased by something, and it's just like we're all over there, and then it's just like it's just a
Which is perfectly
distraction
fine,
or to
yeah.
get away.
Sure.
But like using it like for information gathering, all that stuff. I was like, that's smart. That's big brain energy. But I don't play with those people, unfortunately. I
Right.
play with like
I love the
people that are trying
concept
to
of
kill or
trying.
get away.
I love the concept of trying to figure out who Kevin Bacon is by the 3 degrees you have. Like that's wild.
Apologies for my dog, by the
Oh,
way.
you're fine.
Oh no, you're good.
Um, yeah, I like the idea of being able to kind of like throw the card, you know, gambit those cards over there to like
Mhm.
have like, you know, something pop up. I think that's
Mhm.
really cool. I think, yeah, I think I would need to actually like reread the exact mechanics for the deck of illusions. I'm not sure if you can do that already.
I
But yeah,
think it has like a range, like a little one.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well then, yeah, I think then yeah, I think in that case, yeah, deck of illusions just treat it as you know, like for, you know, the deck of people treat it as a deck of
A
illusions. But
fillable
you
table
can,
where people can. Mhm.
yeah, and you can choose like, you know, you can imprint on however many cards you want. But I think in that case, you know, just, you know, each card is single use. So if you want to have a deck of 13 of yourself, okay, you know, and it could be 13 of yourself like in different outfits too. Um,
That's interesting. I like that. Like
yeah.
it can be you, but you have to look different each
Mhm.
time.
Like
Oh,
it records how you look.
oh, that's
Oh
Which
man.
really
honestly,
funny.
if you wanted to get super clever or potentially rules lawyery about it, it depends on how you wanted to like fall into RAW or RAI. But um, if you were under the effect of like disguised self and then you touched a card, would that record you as the disguised self? So in that case, you know, it
Mm.
could, you know, it could be you in the guise of a hobgoblin or something.
Mm.
Oh wow. Oh
So
gosh.
you have like
You
a
literally
wizard
stack
with
the
one of these
deck.
decks that's just
Yeah.
like casting disguise self and just like doing little impressions of different
I
monsters.
had a fun dress up night that like I needed to give myself I need to give us like the proper like Ocean's 11 like background of people, and I had to like cosplay for an entire evening
Yeah.
to to stack the deck. Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, I think treating it as a deck of illusions, I think is a great way to do that.
The other one that we did a bunch, but the one that I keep because it's physically tangible here because we were looking around
Yeah.
was it started with I have this big old honking clamp here, right?
Mhm.
And it just turned into like there's sovereign glue where if you glue something together, it makes it permanently stick together. And there's immovable rods, and then I just kind of was like combine things in my brain. It was like, what about like a sovereign clamp? And
Mhm.
it's like a person that's attuned to this can clamp this, and it's gonna stay there until the person removes it. So it's like other people are like, because immovable rods, I was like, anybody can
Yeah,
take it
it's a
out.
button.
Anybody can do that. But what if like nobody could, and like the person died, and it's like, no, that immovable rod's there forever now. And then I was like, this clamp, what if one person can unclamp it and clamp it, and it's permanent. And heaven forbid they die or something like that. It's just like this thing is permanently snapped shut because of this. We had to break around it until the enchantment goes or whatever.
Sure.
Um,
The way,
but
well, I guess the way that attunement works is that if you spend more than 24 hours farther than 100 feet away from it, your attunement ends.
yes, there we go.
Also, if you die, your attunement ends.
Yes.
So what you'd end up happening is like, sure, you could have that clamp there, but you got to stick around. I mean, like, you have to basically like, it'd have to be like in your home,
In your range, yeah.
Yeah. Which is fine. In my particular, but I mean, like if that were the case, it may as well be an immovable rod, because if it's within 100 feet of you at all times, it's not the kind of thing that so that somebody's gonna like run up and like hit the button and like run off with it or something like that. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think yeah, with items like that, you have to think about like loopholes a lot, and like some really obscure rules, like virtually nobody knows that attunement rule because it never comes up in games, and so you have to think through loopholes to kind of handle cheese, and weigh out the value of, is this good design and is this good design for gameplay? Like, is this going to be fun for players? Because if it's not fun for players, then it doesn't really matter how good the design is, or it matters less, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the cool things about immovable rod that makes it such a classic is that because it's not attuned and it just requires a button, like it allows for counterplay, and counterplay is a part of good design, at least in my opinion. So, which is like, why counterspell can be counterspelled in turn. If there's counterplay to something, like there is with an immovable rod, that allows players to problem solve. But in a case like where you're saying with an immovable clamp, there really isn't a good means of counterplay. Now,
Gotcha.
I guess you could say the same thing about Sovereign Glue, but Sovereign Glue is also legendary, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, it's a big one. There's like a solvent that's like,
Yes, and
it's
there's
like
a solvent,
a
which I think
magical
is actually
glue
very
gone
rare.
that you need. Yeah.
Or
Oh yeah.
something like that. But yeah, so like having counterplay, is important. And these are things that I've that I have learned by trying to make items for people on Reddit for 5 years.
That's a real good point. We talked about like doing stuff on the fly, but you're coming at it like with a designer perspective, so it's not just you're tackling it from a lot of different ways, and that's a fantastic, or what I've learned, situation, because I think we're playing with it right off the bat, and we're changing stuff, so it's you have the luxury of like being able to refine it and ask those questions before, so you don't run into the whole like we'll come up and we're like, man, nobody uses that thing, or this is actually not fun type of situation. So that's definitely something good to think about.
I try to run into these things. So the way that my process works is that I'll put out an item on Discord for my patrons, and then the following weekday, it'll go onto the subreddit, where it sits for four more weekdays. That's where it goes, or that's when it goes to Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest and Patreon and all that other stuff. And so that kind of advanced fielding helps close those loopholes ahead of time.
Sure.
And it's really important that I go out of my way to try to close as many of those loopholes as possible and try to break my own stuff, because I'm perfectly happy being the bad guy who has to be the rules lawyer for your players. I don't want DMs to have to be the bad guy
to defend something or whatever. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Like, because it's no fun if your players are like, oh, that's no fair, to you.
Right.
Like, they say, oh, Griff, that's like, you ruined my fun. And I was like, you know what? I ruined it because otherwise you're going to break the game. And like, I'm perfectly happy being that bad guy. Because and like you were saying earlier, you don't want to have to think more than you have to. And the more that I can make this as easy and as safe for you to plug and play, and you can be confident that it's not going to break your game. The more confidence that I build, and the more good I do. So I go out of my way, and I run into that problem a lot with common items. Common items, like
It's
pound for
hard to
pound,
balance a common item.
yeah, those can get broken as much as a legendary. It's bonkers. Everything else in between, much less so. But commons and legendaries between the two of them are, you have to like close a lot of loopholes.
Do you have an area you like to like that's your like I guess your fun happy space where it's like I love making uncommon swords? Like, do you have like a where you like to gravitate where it's like if you had in a perfect world, it's like I would just draw blanks more often than not.
For the first couple of years, I made a disproportionate number of rare items. Because tier 2 it has like a lot of wiggle room for spells, because not only because you can use tier 2 spells like anywhere from like 3 to 5, depending, maybe 6, but that's depends on the spell. But you can also do tier 1 spells, from 1 and 2, and cantrips. So you have like a lot of wiggle room in there, and that's about the time when players stop playing games anyway. Like, most campaigns end before level 7, which is a drag. But nowadays I've been doing a lot of uncommons, because sure, if campaigns end at 7, that just means that I have 7 levels to get them more stuff, and so like that means that I need to trend lower if I can. I also have a table of items in the saddlebag, like percentage wise, as compared to items as opposed to official items, in terms of like weapons and armor and scrolls and rings and wands and all that stuff, and also broken down by rarity and like subtypes, like of weapons, like swords or shield or axes and so on. So I always try to keep like within a couple with as close as possible to those wizards percentages, just kind of like keep the inventory like as the same. That being said, I stop my percentages from wizards don't change depending on what they make. My percentages have stayed static from the DMG and Xanathars, because I think up until Xanathars, because after that wizards gets really power creepy. And power creep for me is a 4-letter word, so like I try very 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 hard to avoid that. So I sorry to cut you off.
No, good. Yeah.
So whenever I'm balancing something, I don't balance it against I don't balance it against other saddlebag stuff or any wizard's item from after Xanathars. If I'm making an item, I make sure that it fits into the same kind of power scale from between the DMG and Xanathars.
I like that, because if you're doing it against your own items, it ends up becoming a bit of an echo chamber, where eventually like one of them goes up a little bit, and so the next one's gonna, and it just kind of will start expanding. I love the
static that way.
I love the first book. I'm very excited about the second one. It is. I usually will end up waiting until like the last like 48 hours of a Kickstarter, because I like forget about it and I just have saved it and then I get the reminder. I think the second book is one of the few Kickstarters that I was like, oh, it's live, back, and just like immediately pulled the trigger, because I have used this one so much that like it was a no-brainer for the second one. And even like little details like the tables in the beginning that are all like color coded to, and like break down like what's the name, what's the type, what's the rarity, like all of these different like fields here that I can very quickly just scan through them and find something that I want to use. makes things very easy to find things on the fly.
Good.
My
That's
wife's
working out
character
for them.
right now has as part of her backstory, her dad was a part of a Griffon cavalry. And so she has the Tempest Griffon like feather cape.
Oh yeah.
I reflavored it into like gauntlets that have hooks on it, so it can like lock into the saddle of the Griffon.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think
like
I actually have
redid
made
stuff.
Tempest Griffin gauntlets now. Actually,
Oh, nice,
I think that's in book 2. Let me.
very cool.
Ooh.
We're just in sync there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tempest Griffin bracers.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, it sounds like she's gonna get the bracers reflavored as a cape.
Yeah, there you go.
Naturally.
I know you have things to do, so I want to be respectful of your time. So if you need to go, please let us know. We could talk to you all day, but I do want to be respectful of your time. So if you need to run, I totally get it.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, I've got a few more minutes. But I did also have a note on your to-do list item instead of doing inspiration points, because inspiration points are not actually like default rules. That those are an optional rule. So typically, I mean, so it's kind of the same reason why you can't use or like why you shouldn't use like flanking as like a de facto mechanic.
Got
Not
you.
everybody plays with it. So in this instance, I would actually treat it as like bardic inspiration. So I would say if you're attuned to it, whenever you finish a long rest, you can list 3 things. And if you complete and if you do those 3 things, you know, like each and you get 3 things, roll 3d6, record each result, treat it like bardic inspiration, and then when you try to accomplish each of those 3 things, you can add one of those.
Oh,
that's really good.
Very good. So you're rolling the d6s at the beginning of the day for the different items as a bonus to do the thing.
Wizards. Yeah.
Yeah, like a divination wizard. Yeah, that's very good.
That's really
it also sort of it makes it so you're using them for like, oh, I need to like do these things, like I need to set this up to do it for these items, instead of like trying to gamify it to just get extra points of things.
Yeah. Tell you what, if it's okay with you, I actually do need an item to do today anyway, and scrolls and the like are very easy for me to do. If you wouldn't mind, I'll do that today, and you'll see mine soon.
You
Okay,
can
cool.
steal
Absolutely.
anything from us.
Don't say that. That's not a blanket statement.
I say that to the world. I said that to the world. Somebody quotes me, and it's like
you just said that on the internet. Don't say that out loud.
No, you're right. You're right.
You specifically, with permission, can steal our stuff.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So I'll do that. I think that's like a fun mechanic. And I might do that as either like a scroll that you attune to, which I have one, because it's like that's like not really a thing. It's like trying to attune to a potion. It's like not really a thing that you're supposed to do. So I'll either do that as like a scroll that you attune to, or as just like a pad of paper instead, something like that. I'm not sure which. In any case,
I like the concept of a pad of paper, because then you could also have a specific number of like sheets on the pad.
Yeah.
So you like this pad has 15 sheets on it. So like you don't use it for like trivial things. You're using it for things that you're like, I need a little bit of a bonus to this thing later.
Yeah. They don't all have pencil like eraser. So it's like, you're writing this down. It's gonna be there. You can't keep like, what are you gonna do? Like try to write this, like roll to see how much you can fit into the margins. Like it needs to be used up at some point. Front and back maybe.
The thing about it is that it should be something that you're attuned to, because like you said, if it's a to-do list for the day, you should do it when you wake up.
Yes.
Because the alternative is that if you didn't do that, and if you could just like write on to-do lists at any time, you would just say, oh, I'm gonna go talk to this person in 10 seconds. I'm gonna talk to this person down. And then I'm gonna add a d6 to it.
And when he said it originally, I said like like if you did it like, because at first it was something like, what if you just banked inspiration or something like that?
Mhm.
But then it's just like you could say like, I'm gonna get up from this chair. You know, you couldn't like just say I'm gonna stand up, I'm gonna walk out this room, because then you're
Yeah.
just like you're cheating. It's like I want to get a discount on something. You know, I
Mhm.
wanted blank, and then it's you know the making it like that one thing where you're pre-rolling is really good though. That's really smart. It's like you
Um,
do this a lot.
Speaking of scrolls, the other one you had here was an edible scroll. I have one of those.
That's fantastic.
I liked
Um,
I liked the concept of edible scrolls a lot.
so it's a common item.
Because it's real easy. Just write it down on beef jerky on a fruit roll up instead
So
of
this is
paper.
I think that you'll like this one. This is the scroll of instant cookies. And so when you read the scroll, it's rolled around like a rolling pin, like
Uh-huh.
the scroll is on a rolling pin. And so as part of reading the scroll, you actually press it out, and then it instantly cooks into cookies. And then you have
freaking
a
love
rolling
that.
pin, like a magical club, essentially.
Yeah, I was about to say it's like
Great.
free club. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
That's awesome.
And
I
it
love
doesn't give any
scrolls.
bonuses to
You
attack
see,
or anything, but it's still a magical.
That's what I'm talking about. Scrolls being activated in a cool way. I said something about using a cure like a cure wounds scroll as like a defibrillator.
Yeah.
You know, it's like like so like you know it's like yeah, scrolls are cooler in my brain when there's like something to it, you know what I mean? Like so
Mhm.
the rolling that one out, charging it, like that's I
Well, I
really
mean, I always, anytime I'm doing like a potion or a scroll, I'm like, those are the things that, like, if I'm playing an MMO, I've never looked twice at a potion or a scroll that I picked
Right.
up,
Mhm.
other than like, what does this do? Cool, let's use that.
Yeah.
So I always try and make like a scroll or a potion or something, like especially consumable things. I want them to be cool, so that you are like, there is that level of like, I like this thing and I really want to see like what it does. It's one of the reasons that potions, anytime I give a potion that isn't like just a healing potion, it is almost always in like some weird vial, or like I
Yeah.
go into a little bit extra detail about what
Yeah.
the description of it is.
A hollowed out bone.
A hollowed out bone.
Yeah.
I at one point, I know I talked about on the stream about I had a potion of water breathing that was just infused into a fish, and so you had to like eat the fish in order to gain the benefits of it.
Sure.
And the party like was handed these raw fish to like gain these benefits by the NPC, and they immediately all just unanimously decided that they were going to eat them raw, and like started eating the raw fish, and the NPC was just horrified. He's like, you can cook them, like it doesn't break the magic, like no one said you had to eat these raw. And like little things like that just make such memorable moments for a game. It's like I have a group that I used to play with in high school who I gave them a scroll of teleportation, and one of my friends is a little bit hard of hearing, and he goes, a squirrel of teleportation? And I was like, yes, that is what I said. So they had this little squirrel, and then they would unleash him, and he would run around in circles really fast, and it would make a portal in the ground, and they would hop through it. And he traveled with them for like forever. He was a valued member of the team. This little teleporting squirrel.
That's fun.
So thank you for joining us on our TTRPG morning show. We
Yeah.
appreciate your time.
Sure.
for our nonsense this morning. Thank you so much for making the time. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure to see you, and I'm so looking forward to getting my hands on all the new Kickstarter stuff. I cannot wait.
Wonderful.
Where can people find you? Where can people check you out?
I'm at thegriffonsaddlebag.com, which has like links to all my various social things. There are a million ways to misspell it. So I'm just going to type it here. griffonsaddlebag.com. Okay, cool. There you go. I'm most active on the subreddit and on Instagram. There's also a Discord if you're keen on the Discord. I am supported by the help of patrons. So if the work that I do is something that you would like to support for your table and get access to the high resolution art and printable card files, as well as a bunch of tools for compendiums and like looking up items on the fly and searching and saving and sorting and all that stuff, you can support the effort on Patreon for a few bucks a month. But everything is for free, so you don't have to either. That's where I'm at. I do this 5 days a week, and then on the weekends I have a poll that makes one of those items that I make during the week free for everybody to use. Like it makes all those files, those patron only files, free for everybody. It also makes it OGL compliant, so you can actually like republish it.
Oh,
in your
nice.
own stuff.
That's really, really cool.
I was saying earlier, you put in so much work, and on behalf of all the DMs who could not be bothered, to put work in their stories because they're just like, all right, what is oh, this is dope. Thank you for it's there. You knowing all the mechanics, I know as a DM is already hard, but to synthesizing all that into going like, remembering all the rules and then design aspects, thank you. Just I'm gonna say it a million times. We all appreciate you.
Well, I love the community, and it's a privilege. I'm glad that it's something that I love doing, just for my own sake, and the fact that other people get to benefit from it just makes it all super worth it. I love it.
We usually end the show with 3 calls to action. And Hunter, I don't know if you had any plans for it.
I do. Did you have something?
No,
because I was
no,
actually going to deviate from our normal pattern.
Ooh, okay. Go ahead.
Normally we do 3 calls to action that are usually just 3 like nonsense things. This time I do feel like we would be remiss if we didn't ask a specific question of you as we're logging out, and it might be an easy question, it might be a difficult question. What is your favorite item you've made?
I was wondering if this was going to come.
It has to come up. You've made honestly, so many.
I was gonna like not do it, and then he goes, "They didn't ask the one question I thought they were gonna ask."
Sometimes you gotta be a little predictable.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that I dreaded the question, but it's like I don't really have a great answer.
That's fair.
Who's your favorite child? No, we need to know which one amongst all of them you love more than the other ones. That's what hunters want to know.
If you don't have one immediately off the top of your head,
Pokemon, that helps.
Say again.
I can answer that one.
What is it?
Leafeon is my favorite Pokemon. If that
interesting.
Helps.
Okay.
I've got a little plushie back there.
Well, if you don't have a specific favorite item, what is one that you have made?
What's your least favorite? Which one do you hate the most? Which one are you least proud of?
No, okay, so like I have a few, and I like them for different reasons.
Sure.
So some of them are my favorite because they were made for specific people or at specific times in my life that were meaningful. Like I'll always remember like the 100th item that I make, which is in the first book. Obviously, that was the Fire Genie or the Fire Genie cloak or whatever it is. And the 1000th item by comparison is Creer's Blade, which is an artifact. The 365th item is the Griffon Saddlebag. Creer is the astral griffin that makes the saddlebags and stuff like that. I have items that I have made for my partner, who has contributed a lot of ideas. A lot of common items come from her. She's very clever. Some of my favorite items are not community favorite items, but I just think that the mechanics are really cool and fun. I have an item that I made when my dog was very sick, and we were really concerned if we didn't know if she was going to make it or not. So I have landmark items, I'll say, that mean things to me. But my goal is to never have like an item that I don't think I'll ever top, or like a de facto favorite, because I will lose the kind of blue sky, like golden horizon thing that keeps me going. It's like like what's next. I don't want to say, oh, I've already gotten the best thing, so now like this isn't fun anymore. So yeah, I have landmark items. I think that's the best answer I can give you.
That is the best way to answer a question where you're like, I don't want to answer this question. That's so well done. I love there's so many great items out there. Like I would, if I had to choose my favorite of your items, I wouldn't be able to. And I didn't make them all, so like I can only imagine how difficult it would be to like do it if I had made all those items. Thank you so much for like all of the items that you've made. The community appreciates it. I appreciate it personally. I have a game coming up. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I have a game coming up that is the Fungin, that I'm running with a group that is like a funhouse dungeon thing.
Okay.
And as part of it, there's a like ticket counter where you can like redeem tickets to get prizes as you go through the tower. And I am
love
just
that.
like filling that with different like random items. It started when I saw the what's it called, the attack in the box.
Oh my gosh, good.
Yeah,
Very
I was like, that's a perfect item for this, and then it's just launched this whole like, how many other items can I find to put into this fun house?
I love hearing stories like that. So I guess like my other favorite, my other answer to what's your favorite item question is, my favorite item is the one that like helps you tell your stories the best. Like that. Like I love.
That's my favorite
hearing
answer.
them.
That's my favorite answer.
Masterfully answering these questions.
Like
Mhm.
I love hearing when an item spawns a character, an
Mhm.
NPC, a boss, a dungeon. All of these things are my favorite. It's part of the reason why I love including flavor texts on them,
I love
because
flavor
it
text.
helps kind of like fill in some of the gaps or spawn
Mhm.
ideas or stuff like that. Um, it yeah. So I love hearing stories like that. It just fills my battery right up. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for making the time to be here. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. I am looking forward to getting my Kickstarter stuff, and I hope we run into you at a con or something like that, so we can see each other in person. But thank you so much for making the time. Have a great weekend. To everybody else out there, have a great rest of your weekend. Do something nonsense, get some magic items, give your players some crazy things, and we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.